It was the weekend the Baird Coalition Government, 3 months out from the state elections, ran into a rising tide of community opposition. On the Saturday, inner Sydney residents gathered at Simpson Park, St Peters, and blocked Campbell Street in a protest against the madness of the WestConnex motorway proposal. The next day in Newcastle, thousands marched against the government's insane determination to close down the rail lines serving the city's central business district and sell the corridor to their developer mates.
When I choose it, party people in the place to be KRS-One attack. You got dropped off MCA cause the
Mike Baird needs to back off. Mike Baird has no mandate here. He has no legal basis to rip up this rail line. I wrote to the Premier on Friday and I asked him if he's got advice that says he can do it, then he should release it. There has been no legislation passed by the New South Wales Parliament. Without legislation, the government has no capacity or right to rip up this rail line, and they should cease and desist right now.
more behind that, and Mr. Baird is taking over as though he's going to suddenly come in with promises of openness. He came to Newcastle and had the nerve to apologise for the behaviour of certain members from this area who had accepted bribes. Now, those bribes were made to achieve the result of cutting this rail line. You have to keep the connection to the outside world, and that is what's available now in the form of a heavy rail line that has the capability to bring people on the long haul into the city.
This rally is for you. It's for our community. It's for our families, our school children, our people with a disability, our ageing population, shoppers, workers, tourists, surfers, fishers, beachgoers, and the millions of people that have travelled on public transport into the heart of the city. At this event. 2 years, we've seen a lot of things happen. We've seen over 10 politicians brought before ICAC. We've seen leaders either resign, move to the crossbench, or hand in their ministry. It's an absolute... Our campaign has been to one thing at this present time, and that is to make sure that they don't cut the rail line on Boxing Day, and that's what we're committed to.
Yesterday, hundreds of people in Sydney reclaimed the streets and their neighbourhoods to stop the wasteful $15 billion WestConnex tollway. This is a road, if built, will take away billions of dollars from public education, from public hospitals and from public transport across New South Wales. Shame! Shame! Many of those people have come on the train today from Sydney to stand in solidarity with the Novocastrians and people in the Hunter region. And today it's amazing to see thousands of you standing here to make sure that Premier Baird does not cut and flog off our public land and our rail corridor. As a Greens MP, I know that there is absolutely no public benefit for cutting the rail line. And as an engineer, I know there is absolutely no transport benefit for cutting the rail line. If this line is cut, Newcastle and the broader Hunter region will be left with a second-rate transport system, and we will not let this happen. It is complete madness to cut a rail line that connects the two biggest cities in our state. What we need to do is expand on our transport. We need high-performance fast rail.
Now, there's a new CBD campus being built for 5,000 students with not an allocated car park in sight. So, what does this government do? They close down the train station that's directly across the road. I think for students, when just getting to uni becomes as hard as actually doing uni, then you know there's a problem. I say this to Mike Baird. The solution to all this is really quite simple. Keep the train line and improve, not remove.
Would you please welcome our newly elected Lord Mayor, Newcastle Mel.
But before I do that, we could have a big battle, a big legal battle on our hands. On my phone, I will read for you the Transport Administration Act 1988, number 109. Paragraph number 1. A rail infrastructure owner must not, unless authorised by an Act of Parliament, close a railway line. There has been no Act of Parliament to close this railway line. They are operating outside the legalities of their own state parliament. That's where they've gone wrong, and I know we will unite as a community like we have today to make sure they know they have made a huge error.
Injunction. My message to the state government is simple.
you promised, and particularly the Nationals, promised to be a regionally orientated government. But none of this is helping the regions. All of this is isolating the regions. All of this is reducing the inclusion that all of us in regional New South Wales should enjoy, and particularly in the Hunter, our closeness with the city of Newcastle. The only certainty by sewing together ad hoc decisions is that you will create a monster and a monstrous rail and transport system for our region, and that is unacceptable. Thank you.
This government is morally corrupt. This government is ethically corrupt. Many Liberal MPs got in the back of developers' donations. And if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Now this government is bending over backward to move the rail lines 50 metres so they can free up the rail line for development, because it is the only strip of non-mine subsidised land in the whole CBD. Shame. Join the dots. Join the dots. That's why we've got an upper house inquiry. That's why the government, Mr Baird, the Treasurer, said let's have the rail line down the rail line. But Mr McCloy said we want it down Hunter Street. So what did we get? We got it down Hunter Street. This government is arrogant. This government is ignoring the community. We've got 5,000 students coming in. We've got huge new law courts. We've got 500 units, 25,000 square metres of retail and commercial space going into the end of town, and they're going to cut the capacity, cut the frequency. Now this minister said, this is not a transport issue. Well, Minister, to develop that rail line. Shame. This community does have a mandate. We have it now. We have a local mayor who got in on 42% of the primary vote on a platform of keeping the rail line. You've got Michael Osborne there, you've got me here, and the other candidates that ran on a campaign of keeping that rail line, 66% of the vote. We've got the Australian Senate that voted to keep that rail line. We've got a federal member who wants to keep the rail line. We've got 63,000 union members affiliated with this trades hall who want to keep the rail line. If that's not the community speaking, I don't know what is. Now, John Roberts said the line. Well, we need to get that legal advice. We need an injunction. We've got people power. Look at you all here today. We've got the legal power. We've got the union power. We've got to use every power we've got to stop this outrageous abuse of power. We must fight on. And we will fight on.
This town is mighty wise, who think they're mighty wise, just because they know a thing or two. You can see them every day, strolling up and down Broadway, and telling of the wonders they can do. Well, you see con men and boosters, card sharps and craps shooters, they congregate around the metropole, wearing flashy ties and collars, but where they get their dollars, they all have an ace in the hole.